Hello, Mrs. Russell here, and today we are going to look at how food becomes poo. So before we go into too much detail, we need to understand a couple of key terms. What does the word digest mean? You might have heard it before. So digest means to take something in. When we're talking about food, it's how the body takes in food by breaking it down and absorbing the good bits that we need. So what does the digestive system mean? It's the collection of body parts or organs that allow our body to digest food. So what are the different parts of the digestive system? I want you to have a go now to see what you know already. So in a moment, pause the video here and either draw the outline of a human or use the template that's on Seesaw. You need to draw out and label the body parts that you think are in the digestive system. And I want you to think about the following. How do humans digest food? How does food travel through the body? And which parts of the body are involved? So pause me now and hit play when you finish your drawing. Here it is. This is the completed digestive system. How did you do? We can see that there are lots of different parts that make up our digestive system. These organs work together as a team, producing enzymes that break down the food and allow our body to absorb all of the nutrients and vitamins that we need to survive. So enzymes is a really important science word. Enzymes are very, very clever. They break down proteins, fats and carbohydrates, opening the food up in a way that means our body can absorb it. A bit like opening a lock. See, now apart from we need lots of different types of enzymes to break down the food, as each type of enzyme can only break down one thing. So we need a protein enzyme to break down our proteins. We need a carbohydrate enzyme to break down our carbohydrates. And we need a fat enzyme to break down our fats. So let's take a little look at the different parts of the digestive system and see where these enzymes are really put to work. So starting with the mouth, there's quite a lot going on there. Of course, we've got our teeth and our tongue to mash up the food and push it around our mouths, but we also have salivary glands. Now, what is a gland, I hear you ask? Well, very, very good question. So we have glands all over our bodies and they each have a different job. So we have our tear glands near our eyes and they make tears. We have sweat glands that produce sweat, and we have salivary glands which produce saliva, which is another word for spit or dribble. After we swallowed the food, it travels down our esophagus. Try and say that now. Esophagus. Esophagus. So food takes about 3 seconds to travel through the esophagus, the long tube, down to our stomach. And our stomachs are really stretchy bags that are full of muscles. But what about all of these other organs that are around the stomach? So we can see that the esophagus travels straight down to the stomach and then that path goes down further. But what about everything around the rest? So whilst food only travels through certain parts of the digestive system, there are lots of other parts of our bodies that are producing powerful enzymes that get released at exactly the right time. Now, the liver is one of those parts, and the liver is always working hard to produce bile, which it sends to the gallbladder for storage. And the gallbladder stores that bile ready to be released to help break down food when the time is right. The pancreas makes enzymes to break down carbohydrates, proteins and fats. And when the time is right and the food is about to travel out of the stomach, the pancreas and the gallbladder release the enzymes and bile into the duodenum, which is the very first part of our intestines. Let's try and say that now. Duodenum. Duodenum. Now we're getting to the final few parts of our digestive system, the intestines. So once the food's gone into the duodenum with the bile and the other enzymes from the pancreas, it moves into the small intestine, which is roughly 7 meters long. That's 3 times as long as the average human. And it's also the longest part of our digestive system. Well, hold on a minute. If the small intestine is the longest part of our digestive system, then why isn't it called the large intestine? Why do you think that is? Well, the small intestine has its name because its circumference is much smaller than the large intestine. So it's a thinner tube for our food to pass through than the large intestine. And once the food has made its way through the small and large intestines, it stops in the rectum. The rectum sends a signal to the brain telling us that it's time to go to the toilet. In other words, our poo is ready. Now, poo has lots of different names, very important science names, including stool, feces, and bowel movements. So it's important that we try and remember important science terms too, not just poo. And once our brain knows that it's time to go, it finally passes our food through the anus and hopefully into a toilet. Now that we've gone through the path of the digestive system, I want you to use the template on Seesaw and match each of the keywords to the correct part of the digestive system. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can draw the digestive system out and use the keywords in the description below the video to make sure you've drawn all the correct body parts. Now stay tuned for part 2 of our lessons on the digestive system, where we will be doing a practical demonstration of how the digestive system works and what each of the organs does.